Hello, everyone. So as you can see, I've actually already completed this challenge. Um, I was having some trouble with my phone at the time. The game just kept freezing up, and I was really worried that if I started screen recording, it was going to make it even worse. And plus, I'm a little bit superstitious with these challenges, and when there's a certain amount of wins and I don't have Pass Royale, I want to just get straight through it. So I didn't want to ruin my win streak. But I figured, I still can go through and show you guys some of the replays from some of the bigger games, and just kind of showcase the deck that I was using. Because honestly, I'm surprised that no one else has been using this. I've been looking all over YouTube, and I keep seeing these cool decks, and most of them have generally the same idea, but maybe not taken to the same extreme. So let's just get into it. First things first, I guess I should show you the deck that I was using for this. So here we go. If you look at the replays, um, this is the deck that I was using. I had the Magic Archer, and basically my idea was I want it to be a lot of cheap cycle cards because when you're playing this game and everything is going to be jumping between different teams, it's not very permanent what you're putting on the battlefield. So I think it just gives you an automatic advantage if you're letting your opponent play all the super valuable cards and you're just kind of playing off of that. I mean, what are they actually getting if they take over a fire spirit? They get a single fire spirit. It's temporary too. Like even if they could keep converting it, it's going to jump and it's going to die. So that's kind of what I liked about this. I was like, I just don't want to give them too much material. The only beefy thing other than the super magic archer is the monk. And obviously, well, I think it's kind of obvious why the monk is in there, right? He can reflect the ability. Now, the one drawback there is you have to kind of predict it a lot of the time, just given how fast the Super Magic Archer shoots, which is not very fast at all, by the way. Both spirits can be deployed and jump on him before he has the chance to shoot them, which is another reason that I had them there in the deck. Okay, so obviously Lightning's an obvious one that just kills the Magic Archer. If you didn't know that, you should know that. It's incredibly important because you don't want the enemy Super Magic Archer to be there for too long. And this is the one that I was surprised I saw a lot of people sitting on this. A lot of people didn't realize, but Rage is ridiculously good in this challenge. Because when you have two Super Magic Archers facing off against each other, and you've already used your removal spell for him, well, you need to do something there. You want yours to win. So you have these little distractions here. The skeletons, the spirits. You can throw those things to throw his off. Or you rage yours, and he's going to shoot first, which ensures that you're the one that's winning that interaction. So it's actually kind of ridiculous. And then also on top of that, it is a small cycle spell that you can use to get that last minute damage in specific circumstances. I don't remember which game it was, but I think that happened in one of these. With that all being said, I think I've kind of explained the idea of this deck well enough. So if you haven't tried it and you feel like you're stuck with this challenge, because I know it's kind of random, it's kind of weird, this is what got me there. I didn't have to do any restarts or anything like that. I was 2 losses deep in the actual competitive challenge, but I still made it. So, okay, let's look at just 2 or 3 of these games. I want to show you a loss. I want to show you some of the wins that I got and just kind of show you how the deck works in action. Okay, so this is the loss that I wanted to show against a deck with the Lightning, which I think is kind of a really good card. It's funny, I don't actually remember him using Rocket anytime during this match. We'll see if he did. But yeah, I've already looked over this replay just to make sure I got the basic idea of what's going on here. I think we can speed it up through this part. Yeah, so obviously it's a pretty simple thing. Just get rid of their archer as fast as possible unless you're planning on taking it through some trickery. Here, I just raged it. I want to get that Electro Giant to my side. Unfortunately, the tower was targeting my Super Magic Archer there, so there wasn't really anything sustainable there. It was just going to die, and then the Electro Giant got converted once again back to its own side with basically no damage on it. And you can see right here, I just kind of get destroyed by this push that he sends in with the Monk and Electro Giant. I think this was actually a very well-played Rage on his part right here, because it damages down the Monk even further, and then it's also just allowing the Electro Giant to get crazy damage. The one thing I would say, right here, I think I did kind of get psyched out. It's funny, I think he drops like a little flexing emote here in a second, which, I mean, I have to say, side tangent, if there ever was a good BM emote, it's that one. I don't like the ones that are like the goblin laughing and stuff like that. Those are just annoying. But that one, you see it, you're like, oh man, that's pretty good actually. Anyways, point being, I kind of got psyched out here, but the thing that you have to realize, which I realized once I was playing long enough in this challenge, is there really is no point in the game where you're completely lost. Like you could have like nearly no health on your tower, but it's just insane. This is such a random game mode. Don't ever count yourself out. And I think I kind of was accepting that I had a loss here, and that did affect my mentality while playing this game. Yeah, and so the Electro Giant, I think my biggest misplay with this deck that I'm using is that I'm just not focusing on getting back to that Super Magic Archer. And here again, with that kind of like, oh, I'm already lost mentality, I wasn't trying to prediction activate the monk ability there. Even though I knew that he was probably going to Super Magic Archer, I think honestly it would have been worth the 1 elixir, even if I ended up not firing the ability. So there were a few things that I think kind of went wrong here. This was the closest I got to getting something good going. Um, I'm actually confused why that lightning didn't land for him. Did I convert those? Hang on. We need to go back and look at that. What happened there? Okay, so anyways, yeah, here's the push. Yeah, it looks like I converted his skeletons, and that's why his lightning didn't land. Unless that was my lightning. That would be very awkward if that's what happened there. Anyways, point being, that was the closest I got to getting anything done. And you can see that he had great use of his lightning there. Especially right there. I think that's a prediction. But the entire way through, he just constantly had cycle. I think I just needed to speed up my cycle and get back to the Super Magic Archers. That's one thing that I found super helpful in this challenge, is just, not worrying too much about the rest of the cards, especially when you're playing a cycle deck like this. I mean, a Fire Spirit's going to do nothing against that Electro Giant. You have one win condition, and that is the Super Magic Archer. And so I think really I just should have utilized that a little bit better. I wasn't playing it far enough from the tower, so I was giving him lightning value as well. Overall, main takeaway from this was I wasn't using the Super Magic Archer properly. And so I'd say that's really the main thing to keep in mind. That's what I learned from this loss. Okay, so now let's look at a few wins. I figured since we had shown that loss against Electro Giant, it'd be good to show a win against Electro Giant as well, just to demonstrate a proper way to respond. And this really demonstrates that idea I was talking about, where you let them do all the heavy lifting, spending all their elixir on these super expensive cards, and meanwhile, you just kind of play these light cycle cards, and you can get back to your most powerful asset, which is, of course, the Super Magic Archer. And I want to say Rage does come in clutch here at some point. Okay, so I fired the lightning. I fired the ability at a bad time because he lightning. I thought what was going to happen was he was going to fire his monk ability early, and I wanted something to defend against it. I don't know how well that would have worked, but I figured if he plays his Super Magic Archer, I want to be ready for it. And I'd say, honestly, if you're using the monk in this thing, it's probably better to lean on that cautious side, and maybe you accidentally wasted 1 elixir ability, Who cares? It's a lot better, trust me, than losing your monk or trying to fire the ability late and then having it work for the enemy team. It just doesn't work. Okay, so this, I think, worked a lot better, converting it here, because I kept getting all these distractions. So this is really ideal. You'll see that, like, as long as the Super Magic Archer can keep converting other units, then basically it creates distractions and it isn't going to get targeted for a long time. And that's kind of like the perfect push. And I want to say it shows up a little bit later in this match, but you do need to watch out. The moment that he locks onto the King Tower, your push is basically done. Unless they play something stupid right into its line of fire. But since it does like 0 damage, its only ability is the converting ability. And right here you can see that they wasted their monk ability. But yeah, the only valuable thing about the Super Magic Archer is that he converts things. Yeah, see, look at this. He shoots at the enemy tower, and it deals 1 damage. So it is completely not worth it unless he's converting things. So, that's something I don't know that there's really much that you can do about it. If they just don't play anything into it, then it's more likely he's going to lock into the King Tower. But that is a little bit of a defensive trick. Don't worry so much if the Super Magic Archer is all the way up there. Best just to let it burn out and hit your King Tower. And definitely don't play anything into its line of sight there. Okay, here, at this point, I just had to hold on for 40 seconds. And like I said, this game, you never know what's going to happen. We both just lightning away the Super Magic Archer. Unless you're planning some kind of trick, it is best just to get rid of theirs, like we said before. Okay, so he's playing his monk back here. I don't think he gets the ability down in time. Yeah, no, he doesn't. And then we convert the Electro Giant. And at this point, this is pretty much a done deal. There's not much he can do. with 20 seconds left, unless he converts a whole bunch of stuff. But I felt pretty comfortable here. I raged it up just in case, because even if he plays a Super Magic Archer a little bit back, if yours is raged, then it's still probably going to be able to walk up in time. And so yeah, here we just lightning everything down. And you'll notice that the arrow did hit my Super Magic Archer. There's a little hearts coming up, a little animation effect there. But if they die before the arrow hits, then it no longer converts. At least I'm pretty sure. So yeah, and do keep in mind that everything I'm saying here is all speculation, just from what I saw. But yeah, okay, that's basically how I won that game. So this was the final battle that I had in order to get that emote, and with 2 losses, I'm sure you can imagine that I was super nervous for this. My hands were shaking. I just wanted to get this thing done. I really didn't want to have to do the whole thing again. Um, yeah, playing against SpongeBob here. So I think in this game I did end up using lightning against his goblin multiple times, which I think is a little bit questionable because it is very nice to have that counter just sitting there. Uh, you know, to make sure that you have it with the Super Magic Archer. But considering that he didn't play it, I think it made it super easy. And even if he did, I'd have my own to respond with of course the Rage and the Spirits to distract, which would allow me to play it defensively pretty effectively. That is the thing. It's so hard to react to it, to a offensive Super Magic Archer, unless you have your own Spirits or something. Because you really don't want to play anything into it. Whatever you play into it, it's just going to backfire unless it's a spell. So really, spells are the only way to go. Yeah, bad Spirit on my part. That Electro Spirit I played first because it just died to the multiple Spear Goblins. Anyways, yeah, so just we were kind of getting a feel for each other's deck here. And, I think this is really when his heavy hand starts weighing him down. I mean, look at that elixir cost. He plays a golem in the back, and it just feels like, man, that's just horrible. How is he going to stop me now when I play my Super Magic Archer? So I played the Monk preemptively just because I was feeling like I can probably defend here. But then it worked out well for me. Look, I popped the ability preemptively, but I didn't even need to because it ended up being that I converted the golem in time, that his reactive Super Magic Archer, like I said, that's not going to work very well, didn't do much. And so I think, was it here? Yeah, the Super Magic Archer locks onto the King Tower, and at this point, it's pretty much game over. I mean, it's push over. The game can still keep going, but my push isn't going to get much more done because I'm not going to be able to convert anything else because it's locked onto the King Tower and giving it 1 damage a second, which is just not very good. Okay. So anyways, yeah, just sort of defense at this point, waiting for him to give me something else to win the game with, because of course I can't do it on my own. This really is just sort of stealing decks from the opponent. I lightning down his Super Magic Archer, I don't want to deal with it, converting his stuff back. And here with the Monk, I want to say a prediction. Yeah, look at that. It's wonderful because he plays the Spear Goblins and a Fireball into it. And I think that just broke him. Even though at this point, the game could still realistically go on for a long time. I mean, I'm not converting his King Tower, and I'm hardly giving it any damage with those Super Magic Archers, which I realize, unfortunately, after raging it. Like, the Spirits are doing so much more damage. Look at that. It's so sad. That would take the rest of the game and not do anything. So I decided, well, I'm just going to convert that other tower. So yeah, if your opponent quits the game and you're playing this deck, convert the other tower. It'll make things a little bit quicker. Um, but yeah, anyways, this guy quit, and I got the game. So yeah, there you go. Didn't quite get the 3 crown, but I think it showcases the strength of this deck against heavier decks. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Again, it is sort of just me trying to make sense of this insane game mode. I wouldn't take anything I say too seriously if I were you. But yeah, it worked for me. It could work for you. Let me know if you had any decks that worked really well. Or if you try this one, let me know how it goes afterwards. Just leave a comment down below. I'd appreciate it. And yeah, that's all I have for this time. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.